Thanks for joining me again for another one of my videos on authoritarianism. I spoke in the last video about George Orwell and that he was warning the world not against political systems that differed from the one that he favored as an international socialist, but against the imposition of socialism by people who were so morally superior that they did not care to try and understand the people who their theory was supposedly to benefit. George Orwell coined the term newspeak, and he also coined the term thought crime. In the last video, I really was talking about something that he didn't coin, speech crime. We now have speech crime in our society. Even as we have the First Amendment, you can be punished for saying things. You can be required to say things, compelled to speak. Extraordinary situation. And, you know, if George Orwell was alive today, he would coin speech crime, I think, and he would point out that it's only a hair's breadth from thought crime. George Orwell in 1984, and in much of his other thinking and writing, was clear that the greatest tyranny is the tyranny of the mind, right? That, you know, it becomes tyranny, your slavery becomes irreversible when your thoughts are controlled. And of course you control your thoughts by controlling your speech, because you think mainly in words. And we all understand our world through a paradigm, through the concepts that we have in our paradigm. So if we can control the concepts by controlling the speech, in other words, you're controlling the tools you have to even perceive and understand and experience the world, then you can utterly control somebody. You can utterly tyrannize a society. And that's what Orwell was really concerned about. So look, if I'm even half right about this, what do we do? How do you handle authoritarians, whether they be of the left or the right? You've got to make it about the real issue. And the real issue is force. When an authoritarian is just like everybody else. In general, they have good intentions and they have reasons for believing what they believe and asserting what they assert. And, but when they are asserting, if you're arguing with an authoritarian about some issue, they'll be trying to advocate for some position. But what they won't say is, and now let me give you the argument for requiring people to act in accordance with this position even if they disagree with it. The real issue is force. The meta issue is that when they're arguing that everybody should do X, what they're really arguing for, but implicitly, not explicitly, is that everybody should be compelled to do X. You've got to make the gap between X is good and everybody should be forced to do X or get punished. You've got to make that gap explicit. So, to the authoritarians, you need to say, well, why is it that just because it's better if people do X, that we should start hurting people for not doing X? How do you determine the proportionality of the harm that should be done? What is the punishment for using the wrong pronoun, and why is it justified? Right? How is it that speech and or opinion can be harmful? Lay that out. Explain why action needs to be taken against speech and opinion. Does everybody get to choose what opinion or speech is violent? If not, who does? How is it decided? How is the punishment determined? Can I choose how to react to things? Speech I don't like, opinions I don't like, because I think I can. Are you different from me? Can you? If you can, in what sense should we ever use coercion against speech or opinion? specifically diversity of opinion. If you cannot mediate your hearing, speech, or opinion, your experience of it, and what you do about it, if you can't mediate that, if you have no control over how you feel and what you do when you're exposed to things you don't like, then what makes you different from me? How is it I can and you can't? What do you say makes you human? When the authoritarian is telling you, and I don't care if they're right wing or left wing, right, that we need to be, conforming to some point of view, to some political opinion, whether it's conservative or liberal, don't go toe with them on the issue if what they really want is to coerce. Talk about the coercion. Say, well, look, I can agree with you on this issue, or I can disagree with you on this issue, but explain to me why the coercion is valid. That's important. Make it always about the force, because the force is always what the issue is with an authoritarian. All right. Thanks for being with me for this series on authoritarianism. I may do just one more to round it out. I'll see you later.